the attack when like defending.
I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. And with an introduction like that, what more can I say? People deluded, I'm back again. Apologies, clearing my throat. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. As you can see in front of me, David Ornstein has spoken about the future of two Arsenal players, people. He's spoken about Tierney, and he's also spoken about Mr. Balogun. As you know, Arsenal are trying to get a move on where outgoings are concerned. I'm pretty sure you lot by now would have seen a bunch of reports that says Arsenal hope to raise 100 million in terms of sales, and that would mark off what I feel has been a progressive window, provided, obviously we get another defender in with Timber's absence. I would like a striker and a winger and another central midfielder, but we've got in our three key targets. As you know, three key young players in Saka, Saliba and Martinelli signed new deals, and it seems like we're getting a move on as the window ticks on in terms of outgoings. And I think it's one where it's completely off topic, but I think you have to give Edu some credit because he's got a reputation in the fan base, not necessarily in the world of football, of not necessarily doing his job. And I think he has done such. Again, unfortunately, I don't really want to see Tierney leave. I think we could do with his depth, his professionalism, just the option of him in the squad. But the reality is, in this ever-changing landscape of what Mikel Arteta demands from a fullback, he cannot do it. He cannot do what Zinchenko does. He clearly cannot do what Timber does. Tomiyasu, for whatever reason, and I think he's a good defender, is elected ahead of him. And I personally would throw Kirill in there as an option. So you could argue there's 3-4 fullbacks ahead of him. And at 26 years of age, I'm sure he would love to stay at Arsenal. He's comfortable. He's valued in the squad. London signed a new deal not too long ago. We're in the Champions League. He is a man once Arteta described as being a captain of the club one day, but things change in life. And Sociedad provides him with first team football. I'm pretty sure they're in the Champions League. Obviously, people, and it's a new adventure in Spain. There's no, we're going to read this all, but it doesn't say there's a buy option. So again, I don't know if a year can change things and Tierney will be integrated next year, or this is someone that is putting himself in the shop window. I have to wonder though, why has there not been any permanent offers? He's been linked to Aston Villa. Fair enough, he's been linked with Celtic, but respectfully to Celtic fans out there, probably don't have the finances to obtain him. But Aston Villa, Newcastle, and a couple of clubs, nobody's bidded or been willing to bid a full amount, really. It's on loan. So is there a concern about his injury record historically, even though he was kind of fit last season by his own standards? Is it because everybody's unsure of his ability at this moment? I don't know. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts. Real Sociedad close to agreement with Arsenal for Tierney loan. Real Sociedad are close to reaching an agreement with Arsenal for the signing of Tierney on a season-long loan. The deal does not include an option or obligation to buy the Scotland international, but Sociedad are paying a loan fee and covering Tierney's salary in full. So we get his wages off the wage bill. As I said, we've given people new deals. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz are probably near the top earners. Timber's probably on healthy wages as well. And again, we're shedding wages. Granit Xhaka's now gone. Pablo Marie's gone. Matt Turner's gone. Austin Trusty's gone. We've got some couple of loan fees with some young players and other players. So again, it's just looking after our resources. Clearly, we kind of are navigating our financial landscape a bit crafty in a good way, as you can see with the David Raya deal, which we were told was a permanent initially, and then it changed to a loan. So you hope Tierney has a good season and shows his quality. If not, again, it's one where you don't quite know what's going to go. And then, as much as I think we've probably never been more able to cope with the absence of Kieran Tierney, all it takes is probably one more injury, God forbid, and I'm not saying that's going to happen at fullback, and we might be in issues, because as much as I like Kirill, he could be potentially described as a wild card. As much as I like Tomiyasu, he might kind of kill our attacking sense. As much as I like Zinchenko, he is known to miss 1-2 weeks here and there and switch off defensively. Unfortunately, Timber isn't a thing for this season. We hope he can play some part, but he's injured. But it also shows you that, as Arteta evolves to decide, first names on the team sheet that were previously of such are disposable. And as long as he can command a decent fee to go with Balogun, why not, man? Anyways, people, The deal is not signed yet, but if everything goes to plan, he will travel to Spain and undergo a medical over the weekend. Maybe in hindsight, this deal has been ongoing in the back burners. Maybe that's why he has not been, in the last two match day squads. So we'll have to see. But we first and foremost, I wish Tierney the best. I hope there's no complications with this move, and we wish him a safe journey from England, obviously, to Spain. Real Sociedad were the 26-year-old's chosen destination due to his desire to play regular first-team football and compete in the Champions League, and Arsenal are understanding of those wishes. I wonder if Tierney forced the boat out. I personally think he did, because I think him and Mikel Arteta had an honest conversation. Arteta probably told him, while I value you, I know your qualities and I believe in you, this is what I'm doing. This is the sort of football you're playing. This is the sort of amount, of football you might be playing. If you're willing to put up with that and try and change my thoughts, why not? But for the best part of a year now, Tierney's been just gritting his teeth and getting on with things. And there comes a point where you need to change your situation. As I said, I personally don't think he wants to do such. And you have seen reported earlier today, via various news outlets, and check out my other videos, Tierney has been training away from the squad with the Pepes, Lokongas, and the Want Away FC, the undesirables, quote unquote. In another world, I think Tierney and Balogun would stay, but for one reason or another, they seek pastures that are new, people. So big up Tierney. Champions League football, La Liga, do your thing, man. As you know, and as stated already, Tierney is yet to feature in the Premier League for Arsenal this season, having not been included in either of Mikel Arteta's matchday squads. His last start for Arsenal came in the 3-0 league defeat to Brighton on May the 14th. And to be brutally honest, as much as I like Tierney, when he came on against Manchester City, he had a bit of a mare. Tierney's only appearance came in that FA Community Shield English Super Cup, as I refer to it as, people, where he replaced Timber in the second half. He did say last month, it's not really up to me. I'm happy. I'm working every day, getting minutes. I'm just trying to do as well as I can. Sociedad are 13th currently in La Liga after 2 draws from their opening 2 games, and their first fixture after September's international break is Real Madrid, so he could be thrown in at the deep end. We wish him all the best. Moving to Balogun, David Ornstein has also said Monaco are close to reaching an agreement with Arsenal for the signing of Balogun. The two clubs are still negotiating a final price for the USMNT international, but he's now on course to join Monaco on a permanent deal. Big him up, man. They're giving you a platform to play first team football. Again, Monaco is a lovely sort of city or town or whatever you'd refer to it as. There's tax advantages. Monaco know if you come and develop, we'll sell you back probably to these English shores for a decent profit. You obviously know the league. I'm sure he bagged against Monaco last season, and I'm pretty sure in hindsight now, Arsenal and Monaco, when we was playing in the Emirates Cup, there must have been dialogue in that regard. So nice to see that we're getting over the line, really, because it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help Arsenal to have a fluctuating asset, because as you lot know, if he was to stay at the club and not play, his value is going to go down. He wants to play first team football. It's another problem that Mikel Arteta doesn't want to deal with, because, you know, he's made it clear you're not in his plans. I think in another world, I don't think Balogun is impatient for what it's worth, really. I mean, you could say that, but at least if this Monaco thing does or doesn't work, you did it off your own back, because there's a reality where you could believe everything Arsenal tell you or the coach tells you, and you might not play. And don't get twisted, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'd tell Balogun every lie under the sun, especially after the season he's had. Sign a new deal, bro. You're going to play. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Once that's happened, as in sign a new deal, who knows? So for him, he gets to play first team football. He gets to get some stability, because you're not going to, 1 minute you're at Arsenal, then you're going to loan sort of thing. You're obviously going to be utilized. And as long as this money is reinvested and used to further strengthen our team, then it is what it is. I want every player from Hayland to get an opportunity. I crave the impossible dream of seeing, in a starting 11, all of players from Hayland and the subs as well. But that's a fallacy, people. First goal is to create players that can progress to the first team. If they can't do that, then they need to follow the Iwobis, the Joe Willocks, and potentially Balogun now in cutting out decent futures away from the club. As long as we get a decent fee and a sell-on clause, then Bob's your uncle. He hasn't said it in this article what exactly the fee is. Will they pay the 50 million asking price? I don't know. I think Edu deserves a lot of credit, because I think he's played hardball a lot over Balogun. There's been interlinks, AC Milan links. There has been the Fulhams, the West Hams, the Chelseas, the Spurs. Don't quite believe the latter two clubs, but there's that. So he stuck to his guns, and I think Edu is developing a reputation as you know, as a tough negotiator and getting Arsenal what they want. You know, it's been a good summer because in previous years, he leaves on a cut price. In previous years, the Declan Rice, Timber, Havertz saga goes on all summer. And in previous years, the contracts with Saka, Martinelli and Saliba probably wage into the season and well after the transfer window is closed. Apparently, Monaco had a formal offer for Balogun rejected earlier this month, as reported by The Athletic. The Ligue 1 side sporting director, Thiago Scruno, forgive me for mispronunciation, has a strong relationship with Edu, his opposite number at Arsenal. So when you look at the next Tchouaméni and these guys, remember this, you know. So yeah, Balogun spent last season on loan from Arsenal in France with Rennes, where he scored 21 League R goals in 37 appearances, and he's keen to play first team football. And I think Balogun, contrary to reports, I think he's been a good sport because, again, I don't know, but I don't think he's dug his heels in and put unnecessary pressure on Arsenal. I think they've had an honest conversation, and you know, those that need to do what they need to do to get the gears in motion to move, they've done such, people. So it is what it is. As you know, Monaco are looking for a striker, and Bolo is another footballer, unfortunately, that has suffered an ACL rupture or injury. And obviously, Ben Yedder's got some off-field stuff. So we'll have to see how this develops, really. Personally, I don't think the decision to sell Balogun is something that's just happened over pre-season. Maybe Mikel Arteta said, you know what, we take you to America. There's a bit of marketing behind that. I'll look at you in training. Maybe you can convince me. But realistically, the club clearly, game to game, have been talking about what Balogun's been doing. They've probably, I'm not saying Arteta has watched every game that Balogun played in them 37 appearances, but he's probably watched a handful. He's probably watched clips and stuff. And he's probably got the team around him, the loan manager, assistant coaches and whatnot, you know, to say exactly what Balogun is doing. I do think Arsenal fans are overrating Balogun in a sense that I think he's a very good striker with a very high ceiling in the day and age where there isn't too many strikers, but he's only done it for one season, not to belittle that. Two, you know, you have to be able to take penalties. So big up to him for stepping up. But 7 of those 21 goals, 22 in all comps were penalties. And also, as you know, it's a bit harsh as a striker because I don't think you can win in the modern day in that you could score 20, 30 league goals. People start talking about your assists and your defensive metrics and do you drop deep and play 1-2s and all of these things. Likewise, if you do that but don't necessarily get goals, there's only, in my opinion, so far a team can go with you, sort of thing. As kind of shown with Lacazette and the way we deployed Giroud versus how Chelsea deployed Giroud, where they had the Hazards and that around him, and how France deployed him, where, you know, I don't think he scored a goal in that World Cup, but the other players were doing their thing, not to belittle him, essentially, really. So it makes sense, really. I think Arsenal made a decision a long time ago, and this is something that when the time's been right, they've had a conversation, and this has just been the calm before the storm. Balogun, you're contracted to the club, train, do what you need to do, and then you keep it moving. And I also feel with Balogun, while I think he's developing, and at 22 years of age, he's built on the experiences of the Middlesbrough loan, which wasn't too much to scream and shout about, and he's obviously hit the ground running in France, but it's all the pressing stats, what you do without the ball. And I think right now Eddie Nketiah is ahead of what Arteta demands in that regards. Jesus is better than both. You've obviously got Havertz, Trossard and Martinelli that can be false nines. And I do think within the next year, Arsenal might look to sign another striker. We've been linked with Ivan Toney and Ferguson. Whether we sign them is another thing. So big up Balogun. We wish him all the best, you know, as we do with Joe Willock, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, will be anyone that's been ex-Arsenal, ex-Halen. So we'll have to see. It is nice that we're getting a move on with the outgoings, not to get on the club or anything like that. And of course, it's not easy, but Tierney's a good footballer. So there's going to be offers to some degree. The same goes for Balogun. Clearly, Pepe is a good footballer, but the wages and the other dynamics go against that. Want to see him move through all the Besiktas and Saudi links. Want to see that some progress with Lokonga, with Tavares, with Cedric Suarez and Rob Holding. I know you lot forgot they were at Arsenal Football Club. So we'll have to see how these things progress and develop. But the quicker we get people out, the quicker we start to see exactly what's going on. As Arteta said a few weeks ago, we've got a 30-man squad and there's still some movements to be doing. Personally, I would love another defensive body in line with what's happened with Timber. A small hope for a central midfielder. I'm sure me and a lot of you would love another winger to compete / deputise for Saka, with the greatest of respect to anyone that can play out there. And a striker that gets 20, 30 league goals wouldn't be amiss. But whether we're able to obtain that at this moment in time, who knows? We're going to have to work with what we've got. So with everything discussed, people, please let me know your thoughts on Kieran Tierney and Balogun. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, like, subscribe. Appreciative to all of you lot tuned in. Check out the other vids. One love, folks.
There's always that active red light, defending.
I think it's like